everyone, it's Clarice. This is Clarice Reads, and today I'm going to be doing a Friday Reads-ish type of video just to talk to you about what I've been reading and also to talk to you about some of the thoughts that I have on these books and the thoughts that have just been triggered by these books. Lately, I've actually been reading books that are very different from the type of books that I normally read. When people find out that I like reading, they normally first ask, what types of books do you like to read? And I will always say sci-fi, fantasy, and comics. And if there are any three genres that are probably the most detached from reality, generally it's probably those three. So I think it's kind of strange that lately I've been reading a lot of nonfiction. Not even like narrative nonfiction, like biographies or memoirs that are still a story in some way, but nonfiction that are related to personal development or related to my possible career to help me develop that sort of thing. While this wasn't the first book I read in like my nonfiction book reading spree, the last book that I ended up finishing was 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel was the co-founder of PayPal. He also spent some time like looking into startups and investing in startups. He actually invested in Facebook back when it was super new. So basically this book is about startups. It's a really small one, but I've gotten a lot of good like insights. It talks a bit about the process of creation and about trying to find truly unique ideas. It also talks about secrets and about how our world still has so many secrets to give up. And these secrets could come in the form of valuable companies that are not being built yet or created yet, and unique opportunities for us to create something that could be helpful. And it's sad that people don't look for secrets because they're afraid or because they prefer to just think that we've already figured everything out in the world and there's nothing else for the world to give up, no other secrets in the world. And quoting directly from the book, anyone who might have had the ambition to look for a secret would first ask himself, if it were possible to discover something new, wouldn't someone from the faceless global talent pool of smarter and more creative people have found it already? This voice of doubt can dissuade people from even starting to look for secrets in a world that seems too big a place for any individual to contribute something unique. And when I read that, it's just like, that's how I think. I feel like a lot of us think that way. And it's very sad. And I don't think we realize that all those people that are contributing unique things to the world are just like us. And it sounds so lame, like saying it that way. But it's true. And if all of us thought that way, then we're not going to be able to discover any more secrets. We're not going to be able to build anything new. And I think what this book helped me with the most is just to get into the proper mindset and to get the proper motivation to work in startups. Moving on to the book that I'm currently reading, I actually thought I would finish this last week, but I also overestimated how much time I'd be able to have to read once school started, and that book is The Lean Startup by Ries. Obviously, also about startups. And this book deals more with the process of creating a startup and growing that startup. Basic gist of this book, I think, starts with the definition that it gave of a startup. And that is a human institution designed to create new products and services under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And the most important part there is the uncertainty. That's because when you're making a startup, you're trying to create something totally new. You don't really know what your customers want. You don't really totally understand the problem space of what you're trying to solve. And so a lot of what you're doing when you're creating a startup is actually just trying to figure those things out. And it puts a lot of emphasis here into the process of learning and how important it is for us to try to take incremental steps into learning more and more about the space that we're working in to be able to come up with a product that actually solves an actual problem. It emphasizes the importance of having a feedback loop wherein every decision that you make should be backed up by some sort of customer validation, because obviously we can't assume things, because it's likely that even if you try to come up with this whole business plan, almost all of it's going to be wrong because you don't actually totally know what you're doing, and that's totally fine. Because progress should be measured by how much you're able to learn and how you're able to apply what you've learned to your product, and to consistently keep coming up with better and better versions of your product. Obviously, I can't summarize this book completely, but just the process of reading this book, I've written so much. I've underlined stuff, I've written stuff, I have talked to my friends and I guess co-founders about stuff that I've read here and stuff that I've realized while reading it, and I'm not even done with it. I'm about I'm here, so I'm almost done with it. And the next book I'm going to read after that is probably The Design of Everyday Things, which is still a non-fiction book, but this time it's not related to startups. This time it's related more to user experience design. If you try to look for books on user experience design, this book is almost always going to show up. And I haven't really read it yet, so I can't talk to you about it, but user experience design is basically design that puts the user first and always tries to consider how the user will be able to interact with this. And I think it's a field that's greatly underappreciated, especially coming from someone that comes from a more technical background. I'm studying computer science, and a lot of people focus on the functionality, and while the functionality is obviously extremely important, there's no point to having something that works totally fine if the user has a difficult time using it. They're not going to be able to get to that functionality if they're not able to go through that first barrier of their user experience. And this will hopefully help me design better user experiences, because that's generally the type of work that I like doing, or that I've found that I enjoy the most. So yes, I've been reading a lot of nonfiction. I'm pretty sure what's triggered this is just the fact that I'm going to be graduating soon. I am at the very beginning of my last term of college, possibly ever. I'm still thinking if I'm gonna take masters, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like something I want to do. I'm slightly scared, but I'm mostly excited. And I think the reason that I'm so excited is because I know exactly what I want to do. And I feel like I'm so lucky that I get to say that, because a lot of people, they go through college and they still don't really know what they're passionate about or what they want to do in the future. They're kind of just like going through life. And I'm just glad that I get to say that, and that I know what I want to do, even though what I want to do is a bit scary, because startups aren't exactly the safest thing to get into. Among the people that study computer science, at least at the university that I go to, they will generally go to three paths. They're either going to go corporate, like work in the IT department of some big company, go into research or the academe, or go into startup. And out of those three, for sure what I want to go into is startup, just based on my own experiences. I mean, like, I can talk about this for a really long time, but just based on how I know I like to work, based on my experience currently kind of co-founding a startup, based on my experience at startup related events, I kind of know that this is what I want to do, and that this is the sort of environment that motivates me the most. I just get excited by the prospect of working on big projects with few people, and knowing that what I'm working on is something meaningful and something that actually contributes something great to society. And I don't feel that same motivation and excitement from the idea of working in some big corporation, or on working on research that's often done for the sake of research. Even though it does contribute to the field, I like being able to see how it can affect society and how it can help people. And that's why I think I'm drawn more towards startups. Also relating to like how I like to work, I think I actually like working in smaller groups of people and be able to bounce off ideas with multiple people. Not work in isolation, almost the way that you would if you go into research. Anyway, I can talk about that for a long time, but the point is I want to go into startup. And hopefully these books will be able to help me do that. If any of you are wondering, before when I made a video about like that startup idea, unfortunately we kind of scrapped that idea, which is very sad, but I'm still filing it away in my head as a possible future thing to work on if I had more money, because obviously that startup that I suggested with the subscription box for books from around the world is kind of a logistical nightmare. So yeah, the future. Kind of scary, but mostly exciting. Though maybe those are words that I'll be taking back a few months from now when I am in the real world and technically unemployed. I mean, it's hard not to get excited when you're working on something that you genuinely care about, and you actually know that even if this doesn't work out, I have an idea of which direction I still want to take. I don't know, it's exciting, okay? It's exciting. So yeah, 0 to 1, really good book to try to get you into the right mindset when it comes to startups. The Lean Startup, something that made me feel happy as someone that really likes processes, in order to be able to sort of organize and have some methodology to something that is generally very unorganized, which is the process of creating a startup. And the design of everyday things, it's like foundational UX stuff, and I'm really excited to get into it. So that's what I've been reading. fueled by my desire to get my shit together before I graduate. So feel free to talk to me about what you've been reading lately, or about your random thoughts about the future and preparing for the future, or whatever, if you're in a similar place to me right now, in the comment section down below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!